Unveiling Startup Funding, Strategies and Choices for Success. We are delighted to have you all join us once again as we continue our exploration of this fascinating topic.
Indeed, it's wonderful to see familiar faces and new participants joining us today. We hope you had a restful day and are ready to dive into another session filled with valuable insights and discussions.
Yes, Anjali, exactly. Today again, we have an exceptional lineup of speakers who bring a wealth of knowledge, practical insights to the table. So before we move ahead, we hope all of you have followed us on LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the recordings and to attend the live of this YouTube session as well as the other conferences we have hosted and the others we will host in the upcoming weeks. If you haven't done it already, do follow us and subscribe to our channel right now without further delay to get automated updates on our upcoming conferences. So without further delay, let's introduce our esteemed speakers for today's session.
Our first speaker is Mr. Michael Lavani, a seasoned no-code developer with a fervent passion for guiding startups to successful product launches. Proficient in web and mobile app development using Bubble and Adalo, Mr. Michael brings a diverse skill set that extends to email marketing platforms like MailChimp and HubSpot. His comprehensive background in digital marketing, graphic designing, project management, and social media marketing positions him as a valuable asset for creating user-friendly apps and stunning websites. His commitment to delivering high-quality results ensures a seamless journey from concept to launch.
Our next speaker is none other than Mr. Bashir Ahmed, an incubation associate and strategist at co-creation company. Mr. Bashir plays a pivotal role in supporting startups and individuals, leveraging his extensive experience as National Director and Program Manager at AIE SEC in Nigeria. His focus within the startup support unit revolves around promoting positive societal change through supporting innovators in diverse sectors.
Our next guest is Ms. Ayushi Dwivedi, a corporate lawyer and international legal expert with over 4 years of profound experience. Her expertise spans commercial and non-commercial agreements, M&A consulting, and startup consultancy across various legal systems, including the US, UK, Canada, Singapore, Thailand, and Dubai. With a wealth of knowledge in risk management, due diligence frameworks, and compliance analysis, she stands as a valuable asset in navigating legal complexities across jurisdictions.
Next up, we have Mr. Massimiliano Sulpizzi, a visionary entrepreneur and venture capitalist leading Equity Match, his fifth startup. His commitment to pioneering a dynamic social and media platform for startups is commendable. Prior to his venture as the managing partner and founder of SMI Corporate Advisory, Massimiliano provided valuable guidance to clients in infrastructure, fashion, real estate, and tech, resulting in transactions exceeding 200 million euros and fundraising surpassing 100 million euros. With entrepreneurial success, including multi-million euro exits and educational credentials from the Polytechnic of Milan, Mr. Sulpizzi is fluent in Italian and English both.
Now let's welcome Mr. Sheikh bin Abidin, the newly appointed Chief Financial Officer at Simtex Industries Limited. With extensive experience from MNCs like Hoplan and Daraz, coupled with strategic management roles at IFAD Group and Vasundhara Group, Mr. Abidin brings extensive expertise in income tax, VAT, internal control, and statutory compliance. His commitment to knowledge sharing, community engagement, and employee development initiatives in the social sector reflects his dedication to the field.
Our final speaker for today is Mr. Deepak Banik, a seasoned business development and IT project manager with a wealth of experience in the information technology and services industry, proficient in IT sales, ERP implementation, business development, portfolio management, and supply chain and logistics management. Mr. Banik holds a double Master of Business Administration from Bangalore University and the University of Dhaka, with certifications in logistics management from ISCEA USA and disciplined Agile Scrum Master DSM from PMI. He is dedicated to driving successful IT projects and business development initiatives as a project management officer at Web Fountain. We are grateful for all of your presence and eagerly anticipate your valuable insights and contributions to today's conference. We would also like to inform all of participants that the HR team will be conducting polls in the chat box throughout the session. We encourage your active participation in them. Now, moving ahead, I would like to invite Mr. Michael Lavani to share his perspectives.
All right. Thank you very much. Am I audible? Can you hear me clearly? All right. Good. Good. Right. So, good evening, everyone. It's afternoon my own time. So, let's get started. Let me try to share my screen. All right. So, yesterday was an awesome session. I really enjoyed it, and let's see what we have today as well. Let me know once you can see my screen. I believe you can see my screen now, right? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
Michael.
All right, good, good. Thank you very much. Now, we the topic we have for us is unveiling startup funding strategies and choices for success. Cool, right? So, why do we need funding for startups? There are basically few reasons why we need funding, right? We need funding to cover some basic expenses such as product development, marketing, hiring, operational costs, to mention a few, right? So, what are the key things we're going to be looking at today? We're going to be looking at the essence of securing funds, and then I'm going to try to make us understand the different funding options, just like we've seen yesterday. I'm going to try to look at a few of them as well today. And then we're going to be looking at the informed decisions that will lead to increased chances of success while what is it called now, starting up your business, your organization, or whatever it is. Before I go ahead, I want to appreciate the leadership and the organization of SK Association and Groups for this opportunity. Right. Shall we move? Now, when you talk about funding, there are basically two major sources, two major approaches. I classify them into the traditional funding sources and then the newer funding approaches. Now, the traditional funding sources, just like it was mentioned yesterday, a couple of speakers mentioned them and gave insights to them yesterday. Talked about the banks, right? Talked about the venture capitalists, now, I'm going to give a detailed insight into venture capitalists later on in this presentation. However, let's start from the banks, right? Now, we get to know that we can actually get loans from bank, have a good presentation, give to banks, and then they give if what's it called now, asset collateral tends to make sense, we can probably get funding from banks, right? Now, I'll later on in this presentation, I'll talk about the venture capitalists. Let's look at a couple of what's it called now, the newer funding approaches. You have the crowdfunding, you have the government grants, you have the angel investors, right? Now, what's crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is you basically leveraging on a couple of multiple persons out there to basically fund your business, to basically fund your idea, right? To basically fund your what's called your dreams. Now, this can come in different ways. In this digital age, we have different applications on the internet space where you can get people to what's it called now, buy your idea, invest their money in your ideas, support your ideas, support your dreams in your own little way. And also government grants, yeah. Well, government grants varies with countries. Yeah, some countries appreciate country supports talents, right? So you just need to look into the what's it called, your government, know what your government is supporting, how you can get what's going on, funds from your government, that government gives. We have those voice and the likes. But however, whatever your business idea is about, whatever your goal is about, you need to understand that before you can be able to channel your energy into what type of grants you want to get from the government. Now, later on this and what's called presentation, I'm going to be talking about what's called now angel investors in full. Let's move to the next slide. Now let's start with venture capital. VC firms invest in startups with high growth potential. Now, the very first thing I want us to know about venture capital is this: these are organizations, these are firms, these are that are only
I believe you're facing certain technical issues, Michael. If you can just refresh your tab or check your internet connection.
can you hear me better now?
Anjali?
Yes. Mr. Michael, I think there's some network issues. If you can just check it once.
Oh.
We're unable to hear you clearly. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we are able to hear now.
Oh, sorry. Where did you lose me? From where did you lose me?
Just 2 minutes before. I guess you can resume from where you stopped.
All right. So I was basically talking about the venture capitalists. Now let's look at the pros of getting funds from venture capital. Now, the first one is the access to significant funds. Now, these are firms that really have the funds, they really have the resources, and then you presenting to them, you showing them your idea means that they have sufficient funds to fund it. They have sufficient money to give to your dreams. The other thing is the expertise and network of VC firms. Now, these are firms that really, by the time you bring your business idea to them, by the time you bring your business proposal to them, you bring your idea, your startup idea to them, they have expertise that want to look into it and see, okay, is this idea profitable? Is this something that we can actually give our resources to? Is this something that we can actually fund? Yeah. So you have access to expertise that can even help you analyze your own business. Now, the other pro is the potential for high returns. Yeah, we should. I believe that by now, most of us that are into business would actually understand that the more money you pump into a business, the more funds, the more capital you put into a business, the higher the potential of you getting what's it called now, better profits. Now, the more money you put in, the higher the chances of you getting more money. So with VC firms, you have the potential of getting higher returns. Now, I have here is high bar for entry. Now, if you are not skilled, if your game is not top notch, if you cannot present your what's it called, your business idea in the best way it can, if you sometimes, in some countries where I am, for you to get some things done, you need some networks, you need some connections. Now, if you don't have these things, for you to get VC firms to invest in your idea, to invest in your business, can actually be loss of control and decision making power. Having VC firms invest in your business give them an edge to make decision, right? It's their money. They want to know how the money is moving. They want to know what the money is used for. So it's just your own idea. They are basically funding your idea. Now, so that's one of the disadvantages of having VC firms fund your startup or invest in your startup. Now, the next one is pressures to achieve high growth rates. Wherever your treasure is, that's where your mind is. Now, because these people, VC firms, have their money, have their resources in your firm, have them in your idea, have them in your business, have them in your startup. They want to pressurize you. They would really want to get more money as fast as they can. Let me move fast because of my time. All right. Now, angel investors. I said I was going to talk about angel investors. Angel investors is one of the newer approaches for funding. Now, angel investors are wealthy individuals. We invest in startups. Now, I believe in what's it called? In our environment, everybody would have one or two persons in the community who has the resources, who has the money, who have the connections, who has the network for you to start a business. Now, after this, I'm going to throw some light into a newer approach that I just discovered. Right, I'm currently putting it to test. I'm going to put some light to it. Now, let's look at the pros of angel investors. Now, the first one is access to capital. Yeah, these people have the resources. All you just need to do is find these people. You want to know where they are. You want to look around your community. You want to see those people that are wealthy enough to invest in your idea. And you want to find these people, and then they can help you get the right network. It's just like what's it called now? It's just like a network, just like a chain or snowball. Like this person knows this person can help you get this from this person. Get investors because there's more money they want to give or they want to put in your business. There's a potential for it to get more money. Now, just like what's it called now? Just like the growth, and then the last thing I have here is potential for conflict. Yeah, there's always a potential. Why? Because you want to stand there is your idea. I brought this idea, and then all this and that. So there's probably a chance for what's it called for conflict. Why? Because it's your idea, it's your money. Now, assessing your startup needs and goals. This is where I want us to do. You want to know what your startup needs. Now, you need to identify your strength, the strength of your startup, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats. When I talk about the strength, you want to check those things that are advantageous. You want to check the weaknesses. I mean, those things that they are more like a disadvantage to other person. Yeah, most times it might not be a disadvantage. Can actually be something that is actually not seen. Right? We want to see those things are is to help you to understand your startup position in the market and how you can improve it or where it needs to be improved. I'm trying to rush up so I can be on measurable, needs to be attainable, needs to be relevant, and needs to be time bound. Right? Now, the next thing is you need to know how to negotiate funding. Now, there are different ways to negotiate funding. I basically don't have the could actually see those. Right. So there are tips for negotiating funding, and there are terms and conditions. Now, when you talk about funding, I know that it is your idea, it is your business, it is your dream, but then you need some people to partner that is the benefit of whoever is funding it. I don't just want to put money where I'm not going to benefit from. I don't just want to do some things where I'm not going to get any returns from. So you need to understand the benefits. You need to know how to present the benefits of your business or of your startup to whoever is funding it. Now, let's look at bootstrapping. Now, bootstrapping is using personal funds, loans, or revenue to bootstrap. Now, retaining control and equity in your own company. I was going to discuss, I don't think I have the sufficiency of time. I was going to discuss a newer approach of you funding your own business. Now, I call it networking and leveraging. It's a system of partnership whereby there's already a business that is existing. You just want to walk up to the business. Now you want to know, okay, this startup is basically doing what I'm doing or what I intend to do rather, and then you want to walk up to them and tell them, okay, what about I help you driving more revenue? What about I help you get more sales? What about I help you do this? And from there you can begin to franchise. Now, share my documents so you can actually see. Um, now, what I want you to actually note in this my short presentation is the fact that wherever you are trying to get funds, whenever you are trying to get funds, the first thing that should be in your mind is what are the benefits of whoever I'm getting funds from? What are they going to gain? And then you should always know the advantage of what's it called? Your startup, your business, your idea to the general public. I wouldn't know if there are any questions. Probably there are questions. If there are no questions, and then I can say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Michael, for the insightful speech. It was amazing and very point to point details about the funding options. So, as we have very limited time, we won't be able to have any Q&A session. However, I'd request to please share your email address in the chat box, and if any of our audience would like to connect to you or has any questions, they can reach out to you. Moving on, I would request Mr. Bashir to share his thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. From anywhere, I hope you all can hear me clearly. So just give me a minute to share this. Okay. So well done, everyone. I'm just speaking on the session, Unveiling Start funding, the strategies and choices for sources. And this is where I'm going to be taking it from. So my name is Bashir Ahmed, and I'm the founder of Saiz and also Incubation Associate here at Social, the largest incubation lab in Africa. So for me, I'm talking around stages. First, as a business or as an entrepreneur, you're supposed to follow these main stages, no matter how it goes. But you're supposed to start from the product side to the talent, distribution, and funding. Product is what you're talking about, the technology that is infusing your product. The talent is what you're talking about the team. Distribution is access to market and also scaling. And funding is you're talking around investments, readiness, and also, as the last speaker said, in terms of other funds that you want to approach. So why raise capital? I'll be speaking around that. And so businesses need financial help for a variety of reasons. Some of the starting operation, funding working capital expenditures in terms of or asset purchase. Some businesses will also want to raise funds for growth or expansion, and also debt restructuring to actually make sure that they are able to restructure the debt in the organization. So these are major reasons why people raise capital in businesses, and also it is matters that you understand the stage you are in as a business, so you are raising the right money for your business. So there are different types of funding that founder will raise, which you are going to be using different funding instruments. We have the debt, we have the equity, we have the convertible debt, and we also have others. The equity, you're talking about your personal savings, family and friends, angel investors, and also institutional investors. For the debt, you're talking about banks, money lenders, leasing, and also institutional lenders. The grants, others are talking about the grants, council, and also funding. The different set of capital that you can raise for your business, but it matters, and it makes sure that you understand the type of thing that you currently need. For the personal saving, I always advise early stage funders or ideal stage funders to move into personal savings, family and friends, to support their businesses in terms of the business plan, the business model, understanding the customer acquisition. These are the funds you can use for this business. When you've scaled and you have a business, you have a product, you can now use the banks, the money lenders, the leasing, because these are people that will tend to request payments back, and their return on investment will be quite high. Varies across different institutions. You also have grants are different applications, different organizations that would like to support in particular sort of sectors. Maybe the edtech sectors that you're seeing that there are open grants in which you apply for, you get into the program and you will be able to access the funds. So I'll just be explaining what equity, what quasi equity, what debt, and also grants means. So for equity, you have the common and the preferred equity, and these are basically where you have the right to access to your company. You are not obligated to pay back, no interest, no savings, and there's an improved risk profile for equity funding. For the quasi-equity funding, you have the right of access of the company upon conversion of this equity. If not converted, you don't have to pay any principal left. The tax saving is none and improves risk profile also. For the debt, it's involving credit. So you are talking about the involving credit, unsecured debt, and also the secured debt. You have no right to assets, so the company is set in event of default, and you're obligated to you reduce taxable income also, and you increase risk profile with high obligation. So for the brand also is what you're talking about, the equity-free financing, no rights asset, non-obligated, and no risk. This is why I talked about the call for applications, the top organizations that would like to support a particular type of sector. So it might be Bill and Melinda Gates that want to support the health tech sector. They will partner with an org and they'll release an application. You get to apply as a startup or as a business where you'll be able to access those grants. So setting expectations, to understand what investors are actually looking for. The first is to start. The second is to build with scale in mind, and the third is to focus on metrics and activities that make your business attractive. These are what investors are looking for. So you have to start, you have to build your business, you have to also build in passion that you are building to scale. You're not just building for a particular community or your region. You're looking at how can I go regionally, how can I go nationally, how can I go globally. So this is how you are iterating your product to make sure that it suits the world, not just your immediate community, but you are supposed to start from your immediate community. And finally, is to focus on the metrics and the activities. That is what you are talking about. These metrics are the revenue, your users, your traction. You are talking about your customer acquisition cost. You are speaking on your valuation. So these are the things that your investors expect you to know as a founder. What they also want from you, they want a strong team. They want a larger, unique market. So they are looking at what type of market are you looking for? Is it edtech or health tech? Proven traction, as I mentioned earlier, so you know that you're proving traction. You're not just for impact. You are a business that is sustainable, that is making money from this business. You have strong USP and also strong competitive advantage. Interestingly, and you understand your business model. Business model is very important, and the capacity to generate cash flow. These are things investors are looking out for you to scale and for you to access funding. If you don't have this thing, the first is your team. If you don't have your team, you don't have your founder, your co-founder, you don't have your board, your governance structure should be top notch for you to actually raise, for any investors to be interested in you. So as a founder, you're thinking, what do your ideal investor want? They want you to have reputation in terms of the experiences you've had, your expertise, your commitment. How committed are you? Is it a full-time thing for you or is it a part-time thing? The network you have, the resources, and also the relationship. So these are the things you want from your ideal investor, because this thing is not a one-way sort of thing. You want your investors to have reputation. So I've been doing this for a number of years to be something that they do in terms of network, also in terms of resources and also relationships. These are things you also want from your investors when you're looking at investors, because when your investor do a due diligence on you, you're expected to also do your due diligence to your investor. So you also understand where this money is coming from that they want to use to support my business. So finally, the pitch deck. This is an interesting one. I think this is just a summary of what the pitch deck should be about. A summary of your company. This is the first one. This is what you're talking about, the executive summary. The problem is what you're solving for, who you're solving for, and what you're solving. The solution is the solution and how it impacts the people you're solving it for. The market size is also important. Who are the people that are going to use this product? The fifth is the business model. Business model, go-to-market strategy is also how you're going to distribute and you're going to scale. Seven is your team, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of how you're going to manage your team, financials, and projections. Financials is your coins, revenue, customer acquisition, current customer acquisition, current traction also, and projection. How do you project that in the next 3 to 5 years? I expect my organization to be in this place. These are what things investors actually want to see. And finally, the use of funds. This is what they also want to know. What do you want to use it for? Do you want to use it for operational cost? Do you want to use it for talent capacity? Do you want to use it for scaling, for product marketing, for building product development? Those are things you would like to know. Then your pitch deck should be there for the use of funds. So finally, that's my slide for today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Bashir, for the amazing speech. Please share
Thank
your
you.
email address in the chat box, and if any of our audience would like to connect with you and seeks further information, they can get back to you.
No
Moving
problem.
ahead,
I'll do that.
yes. Moving ahead, I would like to invite Ms. Ayushi and request her to commence her speech.
Yeah. Please confirm if I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, SK Associates and team, for having me. My name is Ayushi Dwivedi, and I'm a corporate lawyer who has helped startups with their legal and funding needs. Today, we are all gathered to talk about a very important topic, unveiling startup funding strategies and choices for success. So, as we are all aware of the fact that startup funding is the process of raising money from various sources to start or grow a business. It is one of the most crucial aspects of entrepreneurship, as it can determine the success or failure of your venture. So, however, it is also one of the most challenging and complex aspects, as it involves many factors like market conditions, investors' expectations, legal requirements, and financial risk. If we talk about the Indian diaspora, did you know that Indian startups raised $42 billion in funding across 1583 deals in the year 2021, and 42 companies became unicorns in the same year? That's an impressive feat, right? Considering the challenges posed by the pandemic and the economic slowdown. But how did these startups manage to secure the funds they needed to grow and scale their businesses? What are the different sources and stages of startup funding, and what are the best strategies to attract investors? So, therefore, it is essential for startups to understand the different types of funding available, the advantages and disadvantages of each, and the best practice to follow. So, in this talk, I'll discuss these aspects in detail and share some examples of successful startups that have used different funding strategies. I will also highlight the role of a corporate lawyer. Being a corporate lawyer, it's my duty to put to highlight that thing in front of everyone. So, like how they help startups with their funding process and provide some tips and advice for you to attract investors and secure funding. So let's start with the different types of startup funding. There are mainly six types of funding that startups can use depending on their needs, goals, and resources. So, as to start with, there is like six mainly, and first is bootstrapping, equity financing, debt financing, grants and competition, and crowdfunding, convertible notes, and safe agreements. So, to start with bootstrapping, this is when you fund your startup with your own savings, personal loans, or revenue from your existing businesses. This is the most common and cheapest way of funding, as you do not have to give up any equity or control of your business. However, it also limits your growth potential, as you may not have enough funds to scale up or survive in a competitive market. And in a row, the second option is equity financing. This is when you sell a portion of your ownership or shares in your business to investors, such as angel investors, venture capitalists, or corporate investors. This is the most you can say most popular and lucrative way of funding, as you can raise large amounts of money and gain access to valuable resources like mentorship, networks, and expertise. But it also comes with some drawbacks, such as diluting. You have to dilute your ownership. Like you can lose some control and having to meet the investors' expectations and demands. In the row, the other option is debt financing. As the name suggests, this is when you borrow money from lenders like banks, microfinance institutions, or these days online platforms. This is a relatively easy and fast way of funding, as you do not have to give up any equity or control of your business. However, it also carries some risks, such as having to repay the principal and interest, having to provide collateral or guarantees, and having to deal with the consequences of defaulting or missing payments. Now, in the road, the other option is grants and competition. You can also go for grants and competition. This is when you receive money from various sources like government agencies, foundations, or organizations that support entrepreneurship and innovation. This is a very attractive and beneficial way of funding, as you do not have to give up any equity or control of your business, and you also get recognition and exposure for your idea. However, it is also very competitive and difficult to obtain, as you have to meet the eligibility criteria, follow the application process, and then compete with the other applicants. So, in the other option is crowdfunding. So, as the name suggests, this is when you raise money from a large number of people, usually through online platforms. For say Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or Keto, these are present in the market. This is very innovative and creative way of funding, as you can reach out to global audience. You can validate your idea and build a loyal customer base. It is also very challenging and uncertain, as you have to create a compelling campaign, offer rewards or incentives, and deliver on your promises. The last one, the last option is convertible notes and safe agreements. According to the present market scenario, when there is a boom in startups, most of the startups are actually opting for this option. Like, it's beneficial for the founders and investors in the same way. Like, these are the hybrid forms of funding that combine debt and equity. A convertible note is a loan that can be converted into equity at a later stage, usually at a discounted rate. And a safe agreement is a simple agreement for future equity, which gives the investor the right to receive equity in the future without specifying the valuation or amount. And these are very flexible and convenient ways of funding, as they allow you to defer the valuation and negotiation of your business until you have more traction and data. However, they also have some disadvantages, like it can increase your debt burden, creating uncertainty for both the parties and requiring legal expertise and documentation. So, as you can see, each type of funding has its pros and cons, and there is no one size fits all solution for startups. You have to choose the right funding strategy for your startup based on your vision, market, and growth potential. To help you with that, let me share some examples of successful startups that have used different funding strategies. Airbnb. I hope that the most of us has heard about Airbnb. It's a global platform that connects travelers with hosts who offer unique accommodations. They also have started a bootstrapped startup using their own savings and credit cards to fund their idea. They use some creative ways to generate revenue, such as selling cereal boxes during the 2008 US presidential election, and later they raised equity financing from various investors like Y Combinator, Silicon Valley. The, Everybody knows about Y Combinator, I guess, and Sequoia Capital and Edison Horowitz, and it then become one of the most valuable startups in the world. In the row, second example I would like to give about the Uber. Uber is also a global platform that connects riders with drivers who offer transportation services. They also started bootstrapped, and then they use some debt financing from various lenders like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Barclays to expand their operations and acquire other companies. Later, they raised equity financing from various investors. That is from big investors, for the name say, it's Google Ventures, SoftBank, and Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, and became one of the most valuable startup in the world. So, if we talk about the Indian diaspora, there is a very big name, Flipkart. It's an Indian e-commerce platform that offers a wide range of products and services. It also has started bootstrapped, and then they use some grants and competitions options, such as Thai Entrepreneurship Accelerator Program and Wharton Indian Economic Forum, to gain recognition and exposure for their idea. They raised equity financing from various investors such as Acel Partners, Tiger Globals, and then Walmart, and became one of the most successful startups in India. Later, it got acquired by Walmart and then continue earning profit these days. In the race, there is one more big startup, that's Zomato. It's also an Indian food delivery platform that connects customers with the restaurants and cuisines. It also started bootstrapped, and then they use some crowdfunding option like Zomato Treats program, which actually offered customers a free dessert with every order to generate revenue and build a loyal customer base. Then they later raised equity financing from various investors such as InfoEdge, Sequoia Capital, and became one of the most successful startups in India. So these are just some examples of startups that have used different funding strategies to achieve their goals. So we can learn from their experiences and apply them to your own situation. However, you should also be aware of the challenges and complexities involved in the funding process, and seek professional advice and guidance from a corporate lawyer. So, being a corporate lawyer, I would like to share some vital roles in which a corporate lawyer can be helpful for the startups with their funding process, as they can provide various services. Like, they can help you in negotiating and drafting fundraising documents such as term sheets, shareholder agreements, subscription agreements, convertible notes, or safe agreements. These documents defines the rights and obligations of both the parties. Like, it includes valuation, equity, control, governance, and exit. A corporate lawyer definitely going to help you understand the legal terms and implications, and will also help you protect your interests and rights. They can also help you in decoding the investors' term sheets, which is the very crucial aspect during the investment period, which are the initial offers and proposal from the investors, outlining the main terms and conditions of the deal. These term sheets can be very complex and confusing, and may contain some clauses that are unfavorable or detrimental to you, such as liquidation preference, anti dilution clause, drag along, tag along clause, and non compete. So, a corporate lawyer can definitely going to help you decode the term sheets and negotiate the best possible deal for you. And they can also advise you on the legal and financial implications of the funding process. That includes taxation, accounting, compliance, and reporting. The funding process can have significant legal and financial consequences for your startup, like diluting your ownership, increasing your liability, affecting your cash flows, requiring you to follow certain rules and regulations. So, a corporate lawyer can definitely help you plan and manage these implications, and avoid any pitfalls or penalties for you. They can even also help you ensuring the compliance with the relevant laws and regulations of the region where you are going to establish your business. Like, in case of India, if we talk about, you need to ensure compliance with the Companies Act, FEMA Act, that's Foreign Exchange Management Act, the SEBI Act, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, and Reserve Bank of India. The funding process can involve various legal and regulatory aspects too. Like, you have to incorporate, you have to register, you have to disclosure, you have approval and filing process. So in these processes, to make sure that you are complying with all such laws and everything, definitely a corporate lawyer can help you get your funding process smooth and hassle free. So, as you can see, a corporate lawyer can be a valuable partner and advisor for your startup, as they can help you with the legal and financial aspects of your funding process. So, I strongly recommend that you consult a lawyer before, during, and after your funding process, and benefit from their expertise and experiences. So, to conclude, I would like to summarize the main points of my speech and restate my theses, like unveiling startup funding strategies and choices for success. That startup funding refers to the money that entrepreneurs need to launch or expand their businesses. It can be a decisive factor for the fate of a startup. So, it is vital to know the various funding options and their pros and cons. Startups should select the most suitable funding method according to their goals, market size, and growth potential. They can also draw inspiration from successful startups that have adopted different funding approaches. Likewise, I previously have mentioned few of these startups, big names like Airbnb, Uber, Flipkart, etc. So, however, they should also be prepared for the difficulties and risk involved in funding process, and should definitely consult a corporate lawyer for the expert advice. And I hope you all found this session informative and helpful. Um, If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask me or reach out to me later. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day.
Though that was a great speech, Ayushi, we do not have a limited time period for today. Although I would like to request you to share your email ID in the chat box, so if any of our participants are queries, they can directly reach out to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for the interesting speech. Like from a legal perspective, it's always important to know about investment laws, because we too as lawyers do play quite an important role.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving ahead, I would like to invite Mr. Massimiliano Sulpizi to commence his speech and share his valuable insights.
Okay, I'll mute myself. Thank you very much, guys, for inviting me. Thank you, all the audience. You can call me Max. My name is Massimiliano Sulpizi. You can reach me on LinkedIn or even on Twitter at Max Sulpizi. So I'm an entrepreneur. I've done already 5 startups in my life. Equity Match is my 6th and probably the last one. It's already turned 15. Equity Match has been launched 2 years ago. Just to give an intro to myself, 2 years ago, we help founders from any aspect, from fundraising all the way up to studying business, learn how to become an entrepreneur, and exit the day when you want. Now, myself, I'm an angel investor as well, and I'm also launching probably in Q3 2024, my first accelerator, investing pre-seed and seed stage. Now, when it comes today, I'm taking the funding from a different perspective. So more than just funding is a part of your journey. But your journey is to be an entrepreneur, not just asking money outside your friend and family. So what I'm going to share with you today, I hope you can see my screen. Please, can you see my screen?
Not yet. Yes, we can.
Okay. So what I'm going to, all right. And I want to, okay. Once, let me make sure that okay. So you can see now, yeah?
Yes, we can.
So I need to find a way how to maneuver this one. Let me check. Okay, and now I'm not that familiar with Meet. How can I maneuver it now? Let me check.
If you're sharing the PPT, you cannot come back to the screen. You need to be there while presenting it. If you are looking forward to a way to come back to us, I think that won't be possible.
Let me do a different way. So there's the window, and let me share. Can you see now, yeah? Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see now my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So, as I said, we talk about to be an entrepreneur, not just raising money. Raising money is an extremely complicated job. I've been doing this with my other company for a while. We've been doing this for almost 20 years. And I can tell you, maybe 1% of the founders raise money. 99% they just don't. They don't because many aspects must be matched. First of all, if you want to raise money, you need to be extremely strong-minded. So when you prepare yourself to go through the journey of venture capital, as the previous speaker correctly said, you have many, many choices when you want to fund your business. You can bootstrap, which means give your money, invest your money. You can ask your money to your friends and family, people who know you. But when you go to the venture capital, that's a different story. You ask the money to people that have no idea who you are. You need to be strong enough in the pre-seed stage where probably had no traction at all. You just have a paper, some concept, maybe an MVP launch. If you already spend something on your side, asking people to give you the money on trust that you give the money back with some good gain. That's a tough job. It's an extremely tough job. So don't believe that you go out in a week, you raise the money. It can take, if even happens, a year, 2 years. It's very rare that founders can reach can deliver a successful fundraising in just 80 days, 40 days, 60. Yes, sometimes happen, but they are outstanding startup. And you must be very, very lucky. So before you start searching for funding outside your circle of friends and family, be very much prepared. So prepare yourself before you prepare your business model, which means be extremely focused, be extremely resilient, and be extremely motivated. Why I'm telling you this? Because resilience and motivation, when it comes be a funder, are everything. You will start your journey extremely excited, and after you will go through a pure roller coaster, up and down, highs and lows. Because today someone told you that your business is not worth the money, because tomorrow your customers or clients are telling you that the service or product you are delivering is not good enough to be paid. So you will go down and after up, down and after up. So to make sure you can go through this process, you need to be extremely strong-minded. Otherwise, you will just give up. I've seen in my life many founders give up. I invested in one startup and the startup failed because the founder got burned out. That's normal because venture capitalists, they will ask you a very strong return, which means performance of 20, 30% growth month on month. Startups normally are considered a unicorn when they grow 5-6% week on week. Means this week you've done one, next week you need to do 6 times more, and so on and so on, so on and so forth. So as you can see, the pressure is very high. So when the bad day will come, you must be extremely strong enough to move on and think about tomorrow. And this brings a lot of resilience. So when you start your journey as an entrepreneur, start lean, okay? Avoid imperfection paralysis. Launch with an MVP, test market fit, and gauge adoption for strategic refinement. What that means? Many times, especially when tech founders start, they want to deliver the best product they want. Does not exist. For you, it can be best, but for the market, and the market who is going to judge your product, doesn't mean it's going to be the best. So you are going to spend 1 year to create what you believe is the best. You go to market, you spend maybe $500,000. When you go to the market will reject everything. So you spend 1 year plus $500,000 to pivot, to do something new, to change everything. What's the point? Spend 50, create an MVP, minimum value product, go to the market, test the market, get back what the market is telling you, and start refining your product until it will match market expectations. This is how you build your startup. You're not going to burn all the money you have. You're going to keep the money in your account for what is needed to pivot. Pivoting means not changing your business model, but actually, maybe yes. Sometimes pivoting means changing everything. But sometimes you need just adjust what you believe was right, what the market is telling you. As you start, harness the power of market feedback. As I said to you, prioritize user review as a vital success indicator. Shape your product service based on genuine user need and preferences. You need to listen to the market. The market who is in charge of you. You are not in charge of the market. The market is in charge of you. The market will decide if you succeed or not. If the market is not happy, they won't pay for you. And this is why we move to patience pays, prioritize value before revenue. Delay charging until the value proposition is evident. Acknowledge potential revenue delays, secure a sustainable runaway. That means don't rush to charge for the sake of making money. When you start a business, you must create a business model. In your business model, you must completely undertake that maybe you are not making any money for 12 months at least. So you need to have the money, which we call runway, to cover the first 12 months. Otherwise, you will run out of money. And if you run out of money, you are bankrupted. You are going to liquidate your company. So make sure you have 12 months of runway in front of you without any consideration of revenue. Revenue must be zero in your business model, which means in your internal assumptions, right? When you create your cash flow. Cash flow in creating your business model is everything, which means money in your account to pay the bills, to pay salaries, and so on. Now, stay ahead, embrace constant improvement. As you start moving, right, enhancing revenue flow, you need to be always innovating continuously. Now, here, when you start your startup, this is where, after I always advise founders, try to bootstrap the first 12 months. If you go to the venture capital, okay, angels, venture capitalists, I'm talking about the venture ecosystem because you can ask for loans, but even loans, bank, they want something back. And if you're not generating any revenue, it's very difficult. You can get any loan from the bank unless you have some very strong asset that you can get some asset-backed loans, but you need to give the asset to them in case you have any problem. If you go to venture capital, which means angels, family offices, venture capitalists, corporate venture capitalists, and so on, you must have some traction. So when you are raising money, you pre-seed and seed, more pre-seed, you have very little traction, if nothing. So raising money with no traction is very complicated. Unless you are an unbelievable founder, a great storyteller, as Steve Jobs said, the world belongs to the storyteller. Yes, you need to be a very strong storyteller in telling your story. Who are you? Why you want the money? What's your idea? How can you deliver? In venture capital, in startups, the execution is everything. So you must really execute in a possible extent. Only who has a very great, strong execution will get there. So before moving to fundraising, make a choice. Can I go without any money coming from that side? Can I generate revenue by my own without taking money from outside and diluting myself? Because anytime you ask money in equity, you must give equity, which means share. Or shall I go to venture capitalists, angel investors? What can be my target? At the very beginning, you can go to venture capitalists. Venture capitalists, they don't invest in pre-seed. It's very, very rare. Even if pre-seed is considered to have some kind of traction. So if you don't have any traction, don't waste your time. Don't go to venture capital. Try to go to friends and family as soon as you get bootstrapped. And in my opinion, the flow is this one. You spend some money on your own, some saving. You create your minimum valuable product if you can. You go to friend and family. From friend and family, you move to angels. From angels, you move to venture capitalists. That's the normal process that normally works in startups. Now, as you get the money, you must create value. You must create value for your shareholder, for your stakeholders. Your stakeholders is the market. The market must pay, and they will pay only if they believe that your product or service is worthy to be paid. At the same time, you must grow your company as fast as you can for two main reasons. One, because venture capital growth is demanded in a very strong high, which means you must perform very, very well, very, very high, increase the value of startup. At the same time, because growing fast will kill your competition. So that's an extremely important strategy. When you fundraise enough money to spend money without worrying about profit. You can make losses and still spend a lot of money if you have a lot of money in your cash, in your account. And this will kill competition. And if you can kill competition, you are the king. And you go ahead without any problem. When you succeed, I'm a big fan of giving back. I do believe we should always giving back to society. So as you become a very great entrepreneur, making a lot of money, tons of money, because an entrepreneur, they do something that they are passionate about. They want to deliver something they do believe. Normally in tech, we do things to make the world a better place to live. But at the same time, you will make money. We cannot hide ourselves what is the reality, okay? So when you start making money, becoming successful, you have done a great funding. You start making a lot of money because not only because the investors give you the money, but also because the market is paying for you. You need to give back to the society. That's the most beautiful thing you can do when you're an entrepreneur. Grow with your community. Wherever you live, give the money to your community. Build schools, build everything is possible. Help them, wherever you are. Be focused. Be extremely focused on yourself. Trust me, be an entrepreneur is an absolutely tough job. If you're not focused yourself, you will never get there because up and downs, high and lows are there. So that's the overall. I want to give you just an overall point of view, my point of view of what means to be an entrepreneur and how you should think about funding when it's time and if it's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Max. It was a wonderful speech, and thank you for sharing the tips and strategies. Please share your email address in the chat box. I think you've already shared your LinkedIn ID. If you
you can reach me on LinkedIn, or I will share on Twitter because it's very rare that I can reply on my email. It's very complicated. Or if you go to equitymatch.com, you have all the contacts of my team, one after the other, all of them.
All right. So if any of our audience has any questions or seeks out further information, please get back to the website or connect with him on his LinkedIn address.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Sheikh bin Abidin, and I request him to commence his speech.
Thank you very much, Anjali. Thank you, SK Group and Associate and Group, for giving me the excellent opportunity to share my thoughts and experience. This is Sheikh bin Abidin. I'm working as a CFO in a Simtex Industry Limited. So I would like to share my screen. Please give me the permission to share my screen.
You have the permission. Is there any error coming up?
You must grant permission in order to screen share. So I need permission in my window is showing me a message.
Okay, Vaishali, could you please check it once? This shouldn't be the case.
No, there is no issue from my end. I guess everyone is allowed to share their screen.
Yeah, Mr. Abidin, if you could just click on the fourth icon from the left or the right, either. You have an upper pointed cursor with a square. To get the option.
So can you see my screen? No?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So my presentation topic is the unveiling in the startup funding and strategy and choice for the success. Basically, all that constitute a startup is the earliest stage of business that was formed by investor in a specific product or service. And the financing a startup essentially entails the raising the capital needed to see new company through early stage of operation. So the fundraising journey and step to success. The strategic planning is necessary to start the funding and the winner that is the successful. The following are the essential action. The assessing the need for funding, the assessing the investment readiness, the putting together a pitch deck, targeting the investor, careful research by invested parties, and contractual agreement. 5 typical startup for the fundraising for the startup funding. The investor validation is the first and the most important step in obtaining the startup funding. The investor are required to evaluate the startup idea's social, economical, and environmental aspect before making a decision to invest. An investor will often determine whether to make the required financial arrangement for the startup. The 5 typical methods for the startup funding are as follows: the bootstrapping, get an angel investor in your startup; venture capital, crowdfunding; getting funds from the business incubator and accelerator. The bootstrapping, this is method typically exclude outside funding. This is typical method by which a startup founder gets the very small sum of money needed to meet his capital requirement. And the second one is the crowdfunding. One of the newest method of startup funding is the crowdfunding. Investing simultaneously from the multiple people is known as the crowdsourcing. The method ability to spark interest in another excellent feature that is in both financing and the product marketing. Additionally, this approach works best for the removing the need for current asset and setting aside broker and professional investor. Furthermore, crowdfunding is the more competitive unless in business idea can attract the interest of typical customer beyond describing the online image. Get an angel investor in your startup. Angel investors are the healthy individuals who are eager to provide capital loans to up and coming business. They occasionally even collaborate in the group to jointly evaluate the purpose and before making an investment. Some angel investment offer a startup monitoring and advisory service in addition to funding. Typically, this alternative investment strategy is used to when a company is just getting started. Investor can expect to own up to 30% of the company are willing to take on more risks in exchange of higher return. The venture capital. For a startup with significant growth potential, venture capital is professionally managed fund. Typically, venture capital make investment in business using their equity leap right before the business does an initial public offering or IPO. The venture capitalists offer specialized knowledge, guidance, and insight into the company's development, which aids startup in assessing their business from substantially and scalability perspective. Getting funds from business incubator and accelerator. Startup can also approach incubator and the accelerator program as a funding option. Usually, these are non-profit organizations that are controlled by both public and private companies. Each program run by the period of 4 to 8 months, wherein the founder can make good connection with other like investor, mentors, and also other similar startup founder and expand their business connectivity for future funding needs. Just as important as understanding why funding is required is knowing where to finding. Important funding source includes the bank, non-banking financial institution, angel investors, self-financing, family, friends, venture capitalists, community funding, incubator, and accelerators. Pitch deck. As an investor, you are the undoubtedly your funding is necessary for business or idea. A pitch deck is a visual presentation used to entice and inform potential investor about a company. Introduction, problem, solution, market size, opportunity, product, traction, team, competition, financial, and use fund are the most frequently used pitch deck slide. Trial connecting a startup with right investor, those who contribute not just fund, but a shared vision and unwavering belief in the journey ahead. The alchemical process of concept validation. Now onto the alchemy of idea validation. Every startup starts with the idea, and my job is to take the idea and turn into the blazing potential fire. After fostering a startup in the variety of industry, I have taken on the role of the alchemist. carefully examining ideas, completing in-depth market research, and making sure that startups are not just pursuing idea, but are making plans to tackle actual problem. The artifice of visual amplitude. Next, the skin of the valuation application is employed as if I were a wizard with a wand and that could turn the commonplace into the extraordinary. I have been working behind the scene and developing tactics that make a startup seem more valuable to investors. The stage of startup growth. The first one is the idealization, then validation, third one is the early traction, scaling, and the last one is the exit option. Why invest? The investor invests not just in the product, but in the potential success of a startup. They acquire a price of company, gaining equity and potential future profit. Return come through the exit such as the merger acquisition, IPO, selling share, distressed sale, or buyback by the founder. Additional challenge to consider. The fact that more people are involved in running the business present another difficulty when using equity funding. Every round of funding attract new investor, even though most founders begin with a small, close-knit team. These investors typically want a say in how things are run as well as financial stake in the startup. Pursuing an equity fundraising entails giving investor a stake in your business and future performance in return for their current investment. However, thousands of startups raise capital each year in spite of this obstacle, suggesting that people benefit outweigh the risks and conflict that are certain. An overview of what startup founders should anticipate at early equity funding stage is provided below. Funding types. The pre-seed, then seed, Series A, Series B, Series C, Series D, and the last one is the Series E. So let's briefly discuss about the funding types. Pre-seed funding. The earliest stage of funding is called the pre-seed funding, and it comes in so early in the equity funding cycle that many people overlook it. Now, the founders are creating a prototype or proof of concept while they're working with a very small team or even by themselves. Pre-seed stage funding is usually provided by founders, their families, friends, and acquaintances, as well as the possibly the incubator or angel investor. One is the seed funding. The venture capital firm that specialize in early stage startup, angel investor, family and friends, incubator, and venture capital firm may all provide seed funding, as well as seed funding, sending fund, seeding round, etc. What is the financial component of seed funding? Depending on the company, the seed funding can range from 5 lakh USD to 2 million USD, but it can also be more or less. A company raising a seed round is typically valued between 3 to 6 million. Series A funding. A startup is prepared to raise Series A round to help the people them to next level once they have successfully completed the seed stage and gain some traction, measured by views, revenue, user, or any other KPI they have established by themselves. Even if they have not demonstrated it yet, startups are expected to plan for creating a business model in Series A round. It is also anticipated that they will use the fund raised to boost sales. In what amount of Series A funding round involved money? Series A investment typically range from 2 million to 15 million USD, which more than seed round investment. Consequently, prior to this agreement to a Series A funding round, investor will demand more substance.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Sheikh. We are running short of time. It would be great if you wrap up it in next 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So then there is the Series C funding and Series D funding and Series and so there are some frequently asked questions that for the startup business. What should be taken into account before taking a startup funding? Then the people should have the clear idea of their financial requirement clear throughout the business plan, determine the precise reason of funding before looking at startup funding. How can startup companies can attract investor? Startup can attract investor with the creativity way to solve the customer problem, skill and experience management team, evidence of the scalability, sustainability, and a strong financial business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheikh, for your speech and for joining us today in the discussion. Please share your email address in the chat box, and if any of our audience would like to connect with you, they can reach out to you via the mail. Let's welcome our next speaker. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Dipesh Banik, and I request him to commence his speech.
Good evening, everyone. Is it audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me. Allow me some time to share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, so I think you already introduced me, so I'll not go into that much further. Am my screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, thank you so much. So, as Ms. Anjali already introduced me, and then Mr. CEO of SK Associates also. So I am a startup mentor, trainer, and coach for last 10 years, working in the startup domain across the globe, spatial and Middle East. And with respect to my profession, I am a IT project manager with a double MBA from Bangalore University and University of Dhaka, and also certified professionals in logistic management from IC USA, and also discipline as a Scrum Master from PMI USA. So today is actually in the startup conference, I would like to share about the value proposition, especially for the startups. And you will be happy to know that by where I am sitting now, this is also one of the startup venture of our country, is one of the nice initiative. And that is for the first time in kind in our country has been introduced by one of our startup founder in Bangladesh. That is called one type of reading startup cafe. It's like a Korean style cafe where you can read, study, you can take food, you can do gossip a lot. So today I have decided this place to deliver this space willingly so that I can provide actual value to the startups by sitting in this place, who's actually ignite the spirit of startups development. And whatever products or service they are producing, the value proposition of that specific product or service is very important. As you can see in my screen, where I have underlined a few words where uh, the buyers, what you are communicating with your client, and what type of product or service you will choose, that is very important. And how much problem you are solving the solution, because startup means disruption. See, you are solving a problem of something existing issues, which will be creating a new dimension, a new solution, a new resolution in the society and culture. And also, it should provide and promise of the value which actually customer can expect you to deliver. So that is very important when you are giving any service or you are creating any product. And there are fundamental difference between value proposition and mission statement. Sometimes we are feeling confused. In my slide, I have given a very excellent example. If you see, as we all know, the HubSpot, one of the CRM platform, their value proposition is an easy to use CRM, but their mission statement is to help business grow better. See the difference between the value proposition and mission statement. Your value proposition actually tell what you offer to customer and why they should choose you. And your mission statement will tell you objective as an organization. Same goes for your value proposition versus slogan too. If my in my slide, the example, if you see De Beers Group, the value proposition is exquisite diamonds, world-class designs, breathtaking jewelry, and their slogan is "A diamond is forever." And now come to the value proposition was tagline. See the value propositions of Apple. That is the best experience only on Apple, and their tagline is think different. So a tagline should be a short statement that actually embodies a certain aspect of your brand or business. So that is very important when you are going to tell. In my next slide, where I have provided how the value proposition was mission statement, was slogan, and was tagline. So I have taken a Nike as a case study here. Here, the value propositions actually for the Nike is customizable performance or lifestyle sneaker with unique colorways and material. And their vision statement is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And what is their slogan? Twice the guts, double the glory. And the tagline, just do it. See how amazingly they portray their value proposition, mission statement, slogan, and tagline. So you can take an example of this kind of global brand and you can learn from this attitude or experiences from their values, ideas, and thoughts. Now I have going to show you some pictorial example here how they are portraying their message with the customers, clients, and what will be the actually catchy things they are making. Like HubSpot, their tagline is an easy to use CRM, and how they portrayed the tagline is sales, content management, and customer service. And how beautifully they portrayed their website so that the audience or the customers or the clients will be attractive to use it. Next is FedEx. FedEx has amazingly portrayed their ideas. Like if you see their headline, manage your home deliveries. And the tagline, sub-headline they use, sending and receiving packages convenient and safe for individuals who want to ship ideas and innovation across the globe. See here, if you see the every words, every letter is very important on you are portraying your message into social media or in your website or in your public media channels, because every word count, every sentence count, and your every interaction count, because that actually give you the ultimate customer. It's a very excellent example of LG signature. As we all know, LG, the state of the art living experience, their headline. See how beautifully they portrayed the picture. When you see see this picture, you feel eye soothing, cozy. You feel very calm, quiet experience. So you startup should emphasize on visual display, visual architecture, visual advertisement a lot. Subaru, the most adventurous, most reliable, safest, best Subaru Outback ever. See the headline, one of the magnificent headline for this car. See, so in your brand also, you need to use this kind of catchy, easy readable, and easily understandable words so that the clients can feel attractive to your brand. Samsung, they have done it recently. It is for their Galaxy Z Fold 4 set. Get ready to unfold your world. And the paragraph was, this is everything you'd want in a premium, durable 5G smartphone. Then we made it unfold, revealing a massive screen so you can watch, work, and play like never before. See, every word they select, it's curated for you, for us, so that we feel encouraged to buy, to use their product. So you should create that type of brand in your startups too. This is one of the example for Imperfect Foods. They are one of the largest food seller, groceries that help you fight food wasters. And Hulu, all the TV you love. This is one of the video broadcasting channel. So see their visual display, what they have mentioned. What full sense of exclusivity, streaming series, current season episodes, hit movies, Hulu originals, shows, and more. See the visual display, how they portray their messages. So it's 15 minutes, actually very short time to describe a complete value proposition in front of the startups audience. So my intention was to give you the very, very brief idea in a very short time so that you can believe in yourself, you can develop yourself, and you can try your best. So I would like to conclude my speech with concluding with a very remarkable remarks by Mr. Henry Ford, who said, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. So if you work together, if you come together to start something, that is actually the beginning of your journey. And if you keep together in team members or your societies, or you are working for the goal, that is your progress. And if you work hard to achieve your goal or to achieve your dream, that is called success. So thank you so much. And it was an honor and pleasure in front of all of you to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dipesh, for the wonderful speech. And it was a very knowledgeable and informative speech. I would request you to please share your email address in the chat box. And if any of our audience would like to connect with him, please reach out to him at the email address. Now, as we come to close to the remarkable conference, we'd like to express our heartfelt appreciation to each and every one of you. The knowledge shared, the insights gained, and the connections we made have all contributed to the success of this event, and I'm truly grateful for the participation. So as we wrap up of this conference, we kindly request all attendees and speakers to take a moment and provide their valuable feedback and reviews on Google Map. And your input and thoughts are highly appreciated, as they will help us improve our future events and continue delivering high quality conferences. Thank you for your participation again, and we look forward to reviews and hope to see you all together at Conference 2.9 tomorrow. Until we meet again, stay inspired, keep dreaming, and continue to strive for excellence. Thank you all, and farewell for now.